And last, but certainly not least, we have Jenneviere Villegas from Shopify. So welcome, Jenneviere.
Hi, thank you for having me.
We're super excited to have you. She's been involved in commerce for over 15 years, diving into everything from sourcing and manufacturing, operations to pop-up events, retail management, e-commerce, organic social media marketing, everything, all the things.
All the things.
Yeah. Welcome, Jenneviere. I hope you're ready and excited.
I'm so excited.
All right, then take it away.
Awesome. Let's go. So as you just heard, I am Jenneviere from Shopify. In addition to being from Shopify, I'm also from San Francisco. I'm joining you from sunny San Francisco today, where it's gorgeous out. In addition to that, I also have a Printful store. So I use Printful for my own online store. So I feel like I have a breadth of knowledge to share with you today. So we're just going to dive right in. Before we get to what good looks like, however, I want to know, how many of you have experienced bad design on an online store? I'd love for you to sound off in the chat with a recent badly designed online store experience you had. You don't have to name names, but maybe you can explain what you experienced. Like maybe a pop-up took over your screen and you couldn't find the close button without interacting with it. Maybe it was text heavy with different fonts and hard to read colors. Was it a callback to the 1990s? Or maybe it was just absolutely terrible on mobile. And yes, every image on the left-hand side of the screen cap, every one of those little things is a live link. So we only have a short time together today. So while there are a ton of compelling reasons why building a beautiful, easy to use online store is important, I'm going to share with you two main start here topics. First, I'm going to be covering some basic design principles to consider when building your online store. And then I'm going to dig deeper in on the three most important building blocks to focus when starting your online store. So while I'm talking, I would love for you to think about a brand that you find inspiring, or even a brand that you aspire to. Maybe you're following them to get ideas, or you're stalking them to see what they're up to. So think of that brand that you find inspiring or aspiring, or you aspire to, and see if they might follow any of the things that I'm going to talk about today. Imagine visiting an online store for the very first time. What would encourage you to actually make a purchase? To go through the entire purchase process involves trust. Some common indicators of trust are contact information. Make your contact info easily accessible. This reminds people that there's a person behind the brand, and it helps generate confidence. Here you can see Allbirds. They offer a few different options for contacting them, including chat in the lower right corner. If your contact information feels hidden, or if a shopper has to jump through a bunch of hoops to reach out to you, that can erode trust with your potential buyers. Also, post your returns policy. It might seem counterintuitive, but this can increase purchases by instilling a sense of confidence in your customer, because they know if they really need to, they have a way to return their product. Again, our friends over at Allbirds, they have their returns and exchanges policy in their footer under their help section, which also has, again, their contact information. Checkouts, as we heard from Leon, can be overwhelming. Offer your shoppers commonly preferred accelerated checkouts like Apple Pay, Google Pay, PayPal, and if you're using Shopify, use Shop Pay. These accelerated checkout options reduce distractions and the chance for mistakes, and they build trust with your shoppers. There are benefits to doing this that go beyond trust too. Even when compared to other accelerated checkout methods like Apple Pay or PayPal, Shop Pay has an 11% higher conversion rate on mobile and 4% higher conversion rate on desktop. All right, the next principle for design is visual appeal. People form their first impression within the first few seconds of visiting your store, which is why your visuals need to appeal. The first element of visual appeal is photography, which we heard Taylor talk about. There are two types of photos to focus on. Number one, product photos. These are products that you photograph on a neutral, such as a white or a light gray background, which strips away any distractions so your product can appeal to different demographics. And it makes it easy to see the details. Here you can see Dr. Squatch uses a neutral background that's on brand for the rest of their visual styling. And then lifestyle or brand photos. They're so important. They allow customers to visualize themselves interacting with your products on a day-to-day basis. They can have a great impact on the look and the feel of your online store. So this is where you can really start to express your brand's personality. And be sure to incorporate diversity in your brand photos. The important part is that as many people as possible can see themselves using your product. This part in particular can sometimes be where our own internal biases show up. So I'm encouraging you to challenge yourself to be as diverse as possible across body type, age, race, gender, ability, and other areas when thinking about your photography. Color is a powerful tool you can use to spark interest and emotion. It can also be used to draw attention to specific sections of your website, and it can even lead customers down a specific buyer's journey. The golden rule for colors on an online store: choose two, a primary and a secondary. And when in doubt, less is more. A monochromatic color palette can be a super solid foundation, and you can always consider incorporating more color as accents in your imagery. Keep in mind, when there is more contrast between colors of a background and the text, people can more easily read the text. Now, I'm a big fan of Canva, Canva.com, which has a color palette generator, but there are several free options out there if you want to do a search. But here, I uploaded Megababe's homepage into Canva's tool, and you can see their strong color palette, which they then use throughout their site to create a branded experience. And you'll notice how they use that high contrast Shop Now button to draw your attention to the action they want you to take. Customers expect to see dynamic and interesting typography on a website. While the words you write share information, it's important that the typography communicates the emotion of the information to help you build your brand identity. Legibility matters. Keep your body font simple and easy to read. And when it comes to headings, that's where you can be a little bit more adventurous with the font style you choose. So in this example, you can see how changing the fonts affects the feel of each product listing. Each choice evokes a different emotion. And again, golden rule, try to stick to two fonts. We know mobile commerce is taking over. 79% of smartphone users have made a purchase online using their mobile device in the last 6 months alone. There is no doubt that your customers will expect to be able to buy your products on mobile. When building your site, test the transaction flow on both desktop and mobile to make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not happy with it, there's 1,000% chance that your customers won't be either. And finally, your website navigation should help your customers find your products and other things like the contact information quickly and easily, and it improves the online store shopping experience. Try to use between 3 and 4 headers only for your main navigation menu. Sites with too many navigation options, they feel cluttered, they feel overwhelming, and they increase the likeliness that visitors are going to bounce or take the wrong path. So in this example, the upper portion, it's cluttered, it's confusing. And as a first-time visitor to your site, I'm not necessarily going to know where to even start. Compared to the bottom portion, which is just much nicer to look at and can help me on my buyer's journey. Be as succinct as possible when labeling headers. And if you're just getting started, consider using these headers as your starting points. Get your shop header, do a new or bestsellers option, have your about us, and always, always, always have your contact us information there. Every good brand starts somewhere, and a good brand constantly evolves. Your brand voice and story helps you differentiate your business and helps your customers understand what you stand for. And a solid store design can help with that. Now that I've gone over some important design principles, let's get to designing your store with conversions in mind. I'm going to give you 3 building blocks that you should focus on when you start building your online store. Building block number 1, your homepage. The first thing is to get clear on the goal or goals of your homepage. What do you want visitors to do when they arrive on your store? If a visitor is checking out your store for the first time, they might not buy right away, and that's okay. If you're selling an impulse buy product, like a phone case, it could work to your advantage to encourage your visitors to buy right away through a really direct call to action, a CTA, that says buy now. But if you're selling a high ticket item, you might want to have the call to action direct visitors to sign up for an email list instead, so you can continue to market to them to gently guide them down the funnel toward conversion. Now, here's a fantastic example. Moe's Bows clearly shows and tells what it sells. It offers a full, beautiful hero image. There's a clear call to action there, that shop now button. They have concise header links in the upper left-hand corner. And as you scroll, more details are covered below the fold. Now, as I mentioned earlier, header navigation should be as straightforward as possible. A good practice is to prioritize your navigation links from left to right, with the most important pages being on the left. Again, Moe's Bows does a great job here. If you have a large inventory, make sure you have search enabled to make it easy for your customers to find what they're looking for, and include that in your navigation header as well. Also, guide your user's journey. Displaying best-selling items is a great way to quickly educate your customer on what's selling and convince them to buy. You could also try displaying products that are new or trending this week, which would work well for a store with, again, a larger inventory of products. Here you see over at Blender's Eyewear, they have a Trending Today section on their homepage. Okay, building block number 2, the product page. Your product page is the closest your customer will come to interacting with your product. I'm going to say that again because it is really important. Your product page is the closest your customer will come to interacting with your product. While you may have a number of important product details to cover in a single page, your goal should be a distraction-free opportunity to purchase. Make it clear what the product is and why it's valuable, and make sure this information is at the top of the page above the fold. They shouldn't have to scroll. You can include more detail further down the page, but you should provide your customers with all they need to know at a quick glance. Write your descriptions as if you were talking to somebody in person. Talk about details like measurements, sure. But more importantly, talk about the benefits of the features you're describing. Here you can see how Lunya optimizes their product page to include a description, but it also keeps that add to bag button above the fold. And thinking about what we discussed earlier about photography, provide detailed product photos, ideally from multiple angles. This is as close as your shoppers get to experiencing your product in real life. Help them love it. It's a good idea to use a consistent image size ratio for product images to create a uniform look across your store. I typically recommend squares. And here you can see Lunya uses square images, but also plays around with the layout to create a visually interesting page. And you can't tell this from the screenshot, but the bottom image is actually a video, which is amazing. Next, be sure to highlight the clear call to action, that CTA, and make sure it's above the fold. It might seem obvious, but make sure you don't accidentally distract people from being able to add a product to their cart. Buying should be easy, which means your call to action should be impossible to miss. Make sure it's above the fold and eye-catching in bold or contrasting colors. And the copy is direct. This is not the place to get clever with your copywriting. Save that for your product description and elsewhere on your site. So here in this example, you can see the add to cart button takes a beautiful center stage position. It sits nice and high above the fold, and there's nothing in this section of the page that's drawing your attention away from the reason you're there, which is to buy. All right. As we heard from Leon, reviews have become essential for establishing trust with shoppers. Think about a recent time you shopped online. Did you read the reviews? If you did, you are not alone. Nearly 95% of shoppers read reviews before making a purchase. And surveys have consistently shown that customers trust reviews more than descriptions provided by the store or the manufacturer. If you have a Shopify store and you haven't enabled reviews yet and you would like to know how, please reach out to me after today's talk. I am happy to show you where to access Shopify's free product review app. Great testimonials focus on real people. As you can see in this example from Megababe, who we met earlier with their color scheme, their customers are passionate about their product, even when they're writing in to say that it works great, but they just don't care for the smell. Okay, building block number 3, the checkout page. The checkout page is one of the last stops in your buyer's journey. They've added a product to their cart, and you are potentially moments away from getting the sale. You want to keep the process as quick and as easy as possible for your customers to check out. There are a few things you can change in your checkout to create brand consistency. First, you can upload your company logo. You can change the colors of the checkout elements to match the color palette of your store. You can change the fonts to match the same style as your website. But again, use simple, easy to read fonts here. Your goal is to have a distraction-free experience for your buyers. And then accelerated payment methods, which I mentioned before, Apple Pay, Google Pay, Shop Pay are options I mentioned earlier that can help build trust and make it simple and fast for your customers to check out. Now, I am biased, but I love how easy Shop Pay makes my own personal shopping experience. And a recent study showed that Shop Pay is 4 times faster than standard checkout, which is great news when you think about how many shoppers are using their mobile devices to find new brands and products. You can also utilize buy now, pay later options. These are also called installments. You can use these during checkout to increase the average order value, often referred to as AOV, and reduce cart abandonment. These buy now, pay later options are increasingly common, and they offer a seamless shopping experience for your customers. They drive more repeat purchases by allowing your shoppers a flexible way to complete their shopping. On average, merchants using Shop Pay installments saw a 31% higher average order value than those who didn't offer installments. It's super powerful. So now you know the design principles to consider when building your online store, as well as the 3 most important building blocks to focus on. I tell brands and store owners all the time, perfect is the enemy of done. Dive in and know that even those brands that you've been following for inspiration, they're evolving all the time. Just get it out there and then iterate again. And speaking of inspiring brands, I asked you at the beginning of my talk to think of a brand that you find inspiring or aspirational. I would love for you to email me and let me know the brands you thought of that you find inspiring, that you're following. Please reach out, send me your inspiration, ask me follow-up questions. You can even send me horrible design experience stories, or if you are particularly adventurous, I am a huge fan of the television show Schitt's Creek, and you can email me Schitt's Creek memes or GIFs. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much to Printful for inviting me to speak. I hope you all stick around for the live Q&A. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.